What shackles the human spirit more fiercely than the chains we cannot see? The ones we craft in the hidden recesses of our own minds. Picture a world where every breath you take, every choice you make, is not guided by the wild rhythm of your heart or the fierce blaze of your own will, but by an icy, unyielding duty to an abstract idea, a phantom law that whispers promises of liberation yet binds you tighter with every step. This is the arena where Friedrich Nietzsche, a solar light with untamed defiance, squares off against Immanuel Kant, a colossus of reason whose towering philosophies sought to map the human soul, but in Nietzsche's piercing eyes, erected only prisons of thought. This isn't just a skirmish between two minds. It's an epic tale of the eternal struggle for true freedom. A freedom that breaks the fetters of obligation and dares us to live with unrestrained joy, power, and the audacity to forge our own meaning. Let's plunge into this philosophical storm, where every insult cuts like a blade, every critique lights a fire, and every word calls us to rethink what it means to be truly alive. Our journey ignites with a single, venomous line from Nietzsche's Twilight of the Idols, a work pulsing with the radical heat of his later years, that the Germans have so much as endured their philosophers, above all that most deformed conceptual cripple there has ever been. The great Kant offers a good idea of German amenableness. Let those words roll off your tongue, and you'll taste the sarcasm dripping like molten lead. This isn't a nod of respect, it's a lash, a calculated strike at Kant's exalted throne, and the German habit of bowing to his intricate doctrines without question. The great Kant isn't great in Nietzsche's book. The title is a taunt, a crown of thorns atop a figure he views as the poster child for intellectual submission. Yet even in this sharp-edged jest, Nietzsche winks at us. He assumes we're clever enough to catch his drift, to follow the trail of his contempt through the dense forest of philosophical history. His writings teem with such barbs. Some are earnest dissections, others are gleeful provocations, but each one glimmers with insight, daring us to dig deeper into the soil of his scorn. In Twilight of the Idols, Nietzsche's voice is a thunderbolt, raw and unapologetic. But to unearth the full weight of his grudge against Kant, we must step back to an earlier canvas, Beyond Good and Evil. Here, he fixes his gaze on one of Kant's proudest creations, the table of categories, a linchpin of his metaphysical framework. Imagine this table as a blueprint of the human mind, a grid of 12 concepts carved into 4 domains: quantity, quality, relation, and modality. Each domain unfurls 3 possibilities, tools our minds wield to wrestle order from the chaos of existence. Stand before a tree rustling in the breeze, and your mind doesn't simply drink it in unfiltered. It sifts the sight through these categories, marking the tree's quantity a solitary one, its quality vivid green and sturdy, its relation anchored near a winding brook, and its modality a real thing, not a fleeting mirage. For Kant, these categories aren't mere suggestions. They're the bedrock of understanding, universal and inescapable, the very scaffolding that lets us experience anything at all. This is Kant's revolution, a seismic jolt that redefined how we see ourselves in the world. Before him, thinkers often held that reality pressed itself upon us directly, our senses delivering the trees, rivers, and stars as they truly are, untainted by our interference. Kant tore that illusion apart. When you look at that tree, you're not grasping the thing in itself, the mysterious ding and sitch, but a version your mind has sculpted. This is transcendental idealism, Kant's bold leap. We don't passively receive the world, we actively shape it. Our knowledge isn't a clear window to truth, it's a painting, brushed by the senses and framed by cognition. That tree you see isn't pristine, it's a reflection of your subjectivity, a creation born where your mind meets the raw stuff of existence. The table of categories, then, is Kant's answer to a towering question. How does the mind weave sensation into meaning? How does it birth experience from the void? How are synthetic judgments a priori possible? With this table, Kant crowed that he'd uncover a new faculty of reason, a feat so grand he called it the toughest challenge metaphysics could ever face. Nietzsche, though, stands unmoved by this monument of thought. He strides into Kant's temple of reason and swings a hammer at its base. How does the mind work? Kant asks, and Nietzsche fires back with a sneer, by a faculty of the mind. To him, Kant's stable, with its meticulous divisions and scholarly pomp, doesn't pierce the mind's enigma, it echoes the question back in fancier words. Nietzsche conjures a vivid parallel from Mowgli the Imaginary Invalid, where a doctor explains opium's slumber-inducing power by citing its dormitive principle. It makes you sleep because it has a quality that makes you sleep. The explanation is a farce, and Nietzsche sees Kant caught in the same act. By means of a means, he jeers, a faculty. The blow lands hard. Beneath Kant's German rhetoric lies a hollow core, a failure to truly wrestle with the riddle he posed. Let's pause here. For Nietzsche's assault isn't a passing quip, it's a relentless siege on Kant's metaphysical crown. Picture Kant as a master builder, chiseling his table of categories like a sacred relic. He splits it into 4 realms, each with 3 facets, a system so precise it feels almost holy. Quantity asks, is this one tree a cluster, or all trees everywhere? Quality probes, is it sharp or dim, solid or ghostly? Relation wonders, does it stand alone or tied to something greater? Modality decides, is it merely possible, fully real, or utterly necessary? But this is no whim, it was the mind's innate architecture, the lens that turns a flood of sensation into a coherent world. Without it, reality would dissolve into a formless haze, a torrent we couldn't grasp. This, he argued, cracked the mystery of synthetic a priori judgments, truth that grow our knowledge beyond experience yet hold firm by their own necessity. Nietzsche, however, sees no victory in this. He envisions Kant gripping his table, declaring, "This is the most arduous task metaphysics has ever tackled." And Nietzsche chuckles darkly. To him, Kant's pride is a delusion, his breakthrough a phantom. The table doesn't unveil the mind's workings, it assumes a structure and calls it discovery. Nietzsche's critique is unyielding. Kant's answer is a mirage, a flourish of language that sidesteps the question it claims to solve. He mocks Kant's own words by means of a means, a faculty turning them into a satire, a jab at how Kant's verbosity cloaks a simple truth. He's spinning in circles. The nod to Mowgli-Ray's doctor isn't just clever, it's a gut punch. Just as the doctor fakes wisdom with empty phrases, Kant fakes insight with a circular dodge. But Nietzsche's battle with Kant doesn't halt at the gates of metaphysics. He turns his fiery gaze to Kant's moral philosophy, where the clash erupts into something raw, almost primal. At the core of Kant's ethics towers the categorical imperative, act only in accordance with that maxim, by which you can at the same time, with it should become a universal law. This isn't morality woven from love, instinct, or divine whispers, it's a citadel of duty, stark and unforgiving. Kant insists that right and wrong pivot on universalizability, not on the heart's pull or a god's decree. Consider murder. It's wrong not because it wounds the spirit or defies heaven, but because if everyone killed, humanity would crumble, leaving no one to carry the torch of morality. It's a logic so clean it's almost sterile, demanding allegiance to an abstract ideal over the vivid pulse of human life. Nietzsche recoils with a visceral shudder. Duty to whom? Not to a parent's scare, a village elder's wisdom, or even a deity's will, just to an idea, a disembodied law hovering above us all. This, to Nietzsche, is a travesty, a betrayal of life's beating core. Morality, he thunders, should surge from within, from our deepest drives, our personal hungers, our will to power, not from some external yoke. Kant's system, with its ironclad demand for duty above all, strikes Nietzsche as a barren cage. Worse yet, Kant doubles down. If you obey the categorical imperative and feel a spark of joy, your act loses its moral shine. Pleasure taints it, hinting at selfish roots. For Kant, true virtue requires sacrifice, a shedding of personal delight, even happiness itself. Nietzsche finds this not just wrong but perilous. Joy, he proclaims, is the lifeblood of existence, the mark of a soul fully awake. To banish it from morality is to drain humanity of its vigor, to turn us into automatons of duty trudging toward oblivion. He pits Kant's frigid imperative against his own creed. A virtue must be ours, born of our own fire and need, not a borrowed burden. Kant's ethics, with their scorn for pleasure, echo a deeper rot. Nietzsche despises a nihilism he traces to Christian soil. And here lies the heart of his rage. Kant, the Enlightenment beacon who urged us to dare to think, isn't a liberator. To Nietzsche, he's a cleric in rational garb, rebuilding Christianity's majestic moral edifices under a new flag. Let's unravel this accusation, for it's the thread that binds Nietzsche's critique into a blazing whole. In metaphysics, Kant posits the thing in itself, a realm beyond our reach, separate from the world we know. This Ding and sich exists, Kant says, but eludes us. Our reason can't breach its shroud. We're left with dual worlds, the one we navigate, molded by our categories, and this enigmatic beyond, the true prize of metaphysical yearning. Nietzsche leaps on this, it's Christianity reborn. The world we touch becomes a lesser truth, dwarfed by a veiled realm, just as Christianity lifts heaven above earth. Kant's system, despite its rational polish, mirrors the Christian's suspicion of the tangible, the now in favor of an unreachable elsewhere. In morals, the echo grows louder. The categorical imperative, with its summons to universal obedience, feels to Nietzsche like a secular golden rule, do unto others as you would have done unto you, stripped of Christ and cloaked in logic. Kant's ethics call for submission to a higher order, much like Christian morality kneels to God's command. Yet Kant, the supposed shatterer of dogma, doesn't break free, he recasts it. Nietzsche marvels at the twist. Kant, who dared us to think, ends up defending the very worldview he claimed to outgrow. German theologians, Nietzsche smirks, embraced Kant not as a foe but a friend, seeing in his philosophy a sly return to their sacred ground. What Kant wrought, Nietzsche scoffs, was a theological triumph, a win for the old ideal in enlightened disguise. This charge thunders through Nietzsche's later works, nowhere louder than in the Antichrist, where his attack on Kant finds its most ferocious pitch. Here, he brands Kant a Christian in masquerade, a thinker whose reason lead not to liberty but back to the cave of faith. Kant's demand that moral acts spring from duty alone, unspoiled by joy, appalls Nietzsche. What destroys a man more swiftly, he bellows, than to work, think, and feel without inner necessity, without any deep personal desire, without pleasure, as a mere automaton of duty? This, he cries, is the path to decadence, to folly, and Kant, in his view, became its herald. Joy, the life instinct, these are Nietzsche's creed, and Kant's rejection of them is a denial of what it means to thrive. Nietzsche's war on Kant isn't a fleeting spat, it's a saga of rebellion that stretches across his works, from the sharp jabs of beyond good and evil to the fiery proclamations of the Antichrist. In the realm of metaphysics, he dismantles Kant's stable of categories as a hollow chant, a question dressed up as an answer. Kant, Nietzsche argues, set out to solve the riddle of the mind, how does it craft experience from chaos, and ended up circling back to his starting point. The table, with its 12 neat slots, promises a map of human understanding, but Nietzsche sees it as a mirror reflecting Kant's own assumptions. How are synthetic judgments a priori possible? Kant asks, and his reply by a faculty draws a bitter laugh from Nietzsche. It's not a solution. It's a restatement, a philosophical sleight of hand that dazzles but doesn't deliver. Kant's pride in this discovery, his claim that it's the pinnacle of metaphysical labor, only fuels Nietzsche's scorn. To him, it's a monument to futility, a grand structure built on sand. The assault deepens as Nietzsche turns to Kant's moral world. The categorical imperative, Kant's crowning ethical achievement, becomes Nietzsche's prime target. This principle, with its call to act only in ways that could be universalized, strikes Nietzsche as a lifeless decree. It's not rooted in the warmth of human connection or the spark of personal desire, it's a cold command, a rule book for robots. Kant's vision of morality as duty for duty's sake, stripped of joy or reward, horrifies Nietzsche. He imagines a life governed by such a code, a gray existence where every action is weighed against an abstract scale, where pleasure is a sin against virtue. For Nietzsche, this is no way to live, it's a slow death, a surrender of the spirit to a machine-like obedience. Kant's insistence that joy disqualifies an act from moral worth only sharpens Nietzsche's disgust. To banish happiness from ethics, Nietzsche cries, is to banish life itself. But Nietzsche's deepest wound lies in Kant's hidden allegiance. He sees Kant's philosophy, both metaphysical and moral, as a shadow of Christianity, a secular echo of a faith Kant claimed to transcend. In the Ding and Sich, Nietzsche finds a parallel to the Christian beyond, a heaven or kingdom of God that looms over this world, rendering it mere appearance. Kant's dualism, with its split between the knowable and the unknowable, mirrors the Christian divide between earth and eternity. In the categorical imperative, Nietzsche hears the golden rule reborn, its divine authority swapped for rational necessity, yet still demanding submission. Kant, German theologians, Nietzsche notes with a smirk, rejoiced at Kant's arrival not because he challenged their faith, but because he propped it up in philosophical garb. This critique crescendos in the Antitrist, where Nietzsche's voice rises to a roar. Kant, he declares, is a Christian in disguise, a thinker who used treason not to break free but to rebuild the old ideal. The categorical imperative, with its disdain for pleasure and its worship of duty, becomes Nietzsche's ultimate proof. A virtue must be our invention, he insists, springing from our personal needs and defense. Kant's morality, rooted in an impersonal universal law, is the opposite aid danger to life, a recipe for decay. Kant's claim that joy taints moral purity drives Nietzsche to fury. What destroys a man more quickly, he thunders, than to act without inner necessity, without deep desire, without pleasure? This, he warns, is nihilism in rational dress, and Kant its unwitting priest. Joy, the will to live, these are Nietzsche's gospel, and Kant's rejection of them is a betrayal of humanity's essence. Nietzsche's clash with Kant isn't a dry academic feud, it's a vibrant, sprawling tale of defiance, a call to shatter the illusions we've built around ourselves. In Beyond Good and Evil, he exposes the table of categories as a circular sham, a question masquerading as wisdom. Kant's pride in this system, his belief that it unlocks the mind's secrets, crumbles under Nietzsche's relentless gaze. The moral realm fares no better. The categorical imperative, meant to ground ethics in reason, becomes a chainsaw to life's vitality, a doctrine that Nietzsche sees as both lifeless and life-denying. And across it all looms his grand accusation. Kant's philosophy is Christianity's ghost, a rational rehashing of a worldview Nietzsche fought to bury. From the Ding and Sich to the duty-bound ethics, Kant, in Nietzsche's view, couldn't escape God's shadow, he merely recast it in secular light. What does this titanic struggle leave us with? Nietzsche doesn't just critique and challenges us to question everything, the duties we accept, the truths we cling to, the shadows we fear. True freedom, he whispers, isn't found in obedience or universal laws, but in the courage to embrace our own power, to dance with joy, to forge our own path. This tale isn't a conclusion, it's an invitation, a spark to carry forward. If this journey stirred your soul, tap that like button and join True Freedom. By subscribing, we've got more stories to tell, more chains to break. Share your reflections below. What do you make of Nietzsche's war on Kant? Toss us your ideas for future explorations. We're crafting content to fuel your mind. A heartfelt thanks to our patrons who make these deep dives possible. Join them on Patreon for exclusive tales that push even further. And don't go yet. Linger for Emma and Oliver as they unpack this philosophical duel in a discussion that's sure to spark your curiosity. Let's keep chasing true freedom together until the next adventure unfolds.